I'm confident that finally we will turn to common sense, because basically this instability is not a good message for business, because business is always looking for safe havens, for predictability, for stability. And this is something we want to offer, to remain the reliable, stable and predictable partner. And I have a good feeling that we will solve the issues to a mutual interest.
Well, Commissioner, I'm curious your thoughts on what the Treasury Secretary said this morning, that the European Union has some internal matters to work out. He specifically pointed to the tax on digital services. Is that an accurate read on the current state of affairs inside the EU?
Tariffs are basically the bad things. I think for business it's better to build bridges and gateways rather than walls and obstacles. And based on our analysis, basically the tariffs, if will be implemented and if there will be escalation, will basically decrease the GDP growth in both parts of Atlantic, in Europe, but maybe even more in US. And I think that the biggest hit will be on the world trade. Based on our analysis, the world trade can drop by 2% plus already this year, and even more, like a 3% plus next year. And of course, the more vulnerable countries, the weakest countries, will basically get the biggest hit. And this is something we have to avoid. We have to rather focus on bring basically the stability back. So we are negotiating. There are tangible offers from our side, like I do not want now to comment on details, and then finally I believe that we will find a solution to a mutual benefit, as I already mentioned.
Well, even if a solution can be found, obviously the fact that these negotiations have to happen at all, Commissioner, is evidence of the U.S. taking a bit more of an inward tilt, isolationist, if you will, protectionism perhaps comes along with that. And I wonder if you see that as opening an opportunity for Europe to fill the void that could be left by the U.S., not just when it comes to markets for trade, but also leaders in investment or in development finance throughout the world, as the U.S. seems to be turning away from those things as well.
I think that the investments in development are basically the base for global stability. And we very much regret the decision of the U.S. administration basically to decrease the involvement. Of course, this is an opportunity. This is opportunity for Europe. But what is, I think, even worse, this is also opportunity for our economic and political competitors, or even rivals. So we should not leave space in other continents for more Russia or more China. And as I already said, Europe has been by far the biggest provider of development assistance, with more than 90 billion. This is 42%. This is by far above our share on the global GDP. We will remain to be a predictable state partner. We stick to our commitments, and of course, we want to use this opportunity selectively to basically even increase our presence and our visibility. However, I have to be very honest with you, the gap is too big to be closed just by European Union and the member states.
Okay, so let's just have you finish that thought, Commissioner. Is the vacuum being created by the U.S. or potentially being created? Will that be filled by China?
It is one of the scenarios which can happen, and I don't think that this is the good scenario for basically democratic world. I think, we have been for decades the main partners protecting democracy, protecting rule-based order, basically contributing to the world stability and providing the development assistance. And basically we still have our responsibilities in this area.
Well, and the public sector is one thing, Commissioner, but what about the private sector? As I understand, that's what you're focusing specifically a lot of your energy on this week.
This is of the utmost importance because basically with the current gap on sustainable development, the goals, which is more than 4 trillion, we will never, ever be able to close the gap just with the public spending. So basically to create conditions on the partner country side, basically to create more investment-friendly environment, to create e-governance principles, to basically help to implement more friendly tax environment, and on our side, basically, to come with a de-risking, with a blending schemes is one of the ways how to close the gap. And this is basically what we want to do with the global gateway strategy, to team up with private capital in sustainable development, sustainable energy production, sustainable electrification, sustainable industrialization, connectivity, to allow simply to invest in the job creation and in the value chains on spot, and to allow also these countries to access to the world markets by creating transport corridors.